Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Cisco Solutions Lab. It's been a little while since we've had one. We're very excited to have you here with us today. And we're also excited to review Cisco's firewall options. We have some cloud options, some on-prem traditional firewalls. We're going to cover all that. We're going to cover some of the licensing that goes with that to enable features or certain levels of protection that you might want for your customers. So we're going to go all through all that today. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll wrap up with this with a Q&A at the end. If you have any questions, there is a Q&A along one side of your screen here. Go ahead and post your questions, and if we have time at the end, we'll run through those and gladly answer anything. We can follow up with you after if there's something like that. With me today, I have Mark Jacobs. He's a systems engineer with Cisco. And I also have the esteemed Colleen. She's our security-focused sales engineer here at D&H. I'm your host, Aaron
Okay.
Shelton, and I run our sales engineer team on the Cisco side at D&H, and we always enjoy doing these. These are probably one of my better days of every quarter. All right, so we're gonna jump right into things here. Colleen, first of all, we have the cloud and traditional managed firewalls. How do they choose? What do they choose? What are we looking at? From the two sides of this, just to kind of start an overview of what we're looking at.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Glad you all could join us. As Aaron mentioned, it's always great to do these things and empower our partners. Firewalls, a big subject. Everyone needs security. We have, as you mentioned, we have the virtual options, we have the on-prem options. So which one do you choose? Well, the answer is you could choose both. You can have anyone you want. You can have a hybrid environment. You can have on-prem and cloud offerings within your environment. But it would all depend on what you're looking for. What are the needs of the business? If you're vetting for a partner or for yourself, you kind of have to know that going out the gate. How many users are you looking to support? What is the site overhead that's taking place there? Is it a lot of overhead? What is the throughput? Is kind of like the number one inquiry that I always ask partners to get for us, because then that would determine the proper sizing. It allows us to recommend the proper firewall model to fit in that solution, and maybe even get you something that can scale, that can allow your environment to scale long term. So it all depends. We have what you need. We just need to know what you're looking for.
All right, yeah, and I'll second that 100%. The last thing that you want is a gigabit speed from your ISP and a firewall that can't handle that. You're basically limiting what you
Exactly.
can do. So very, very important, first and foremost, to get at least that much right. As Cisco
Hmm.
makes it easy too. When they publish specs about throughput, it actually does that throughput. No matter the services you put on it, they kind of offer a guaranteed spec, which is something I really enjoy with the way they phrase everything. We're going to dive
Absolutely.
into, oh, yeah. Meraki, we're going to deep dive there a little bit first. Mark, there's a nice model selection, everything from home worker to, much, much larger than that. Let's cover those a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, Aaron. No problem. Just like you said, Aaron, right? The big question is Meraki or Firepower, and what do you get with each? Well, specifically with Meraki, hopefully everyone on this call has some experience with Meraki, specifically the MX. The Meraki MX is the firewall appliance hardware product for Meraki. And really, it encompasses three benefits or highlights. Security, number one. Second, app visibility and control. And third, of course, is networking, right? So how Meraki breaks down their MX products is really into five different categories, depending on how you're deploying this product into your customer's location. Number one, is it a small branch? If it's going to be a small branch, the second question you want to ask is how many users are in that small branch connecting to the MX? We have three
Mhm.
different product lines in the Meraki space within the small branch portfolio is the MX67, 68, both come in wireless and non-wireless, and the MX75, and a special one called the MX67C. So those three products are going to fit into your small branches when you're deploying these MXs. Next is going to be medium to large branches. So you're looking at, the MX85, the MX95, and the MX105. And all these are size and position depending on your speed coming through and the number of users connecting, right? And of course, we have a virtual MX firewall. So these are deployed either in your public clouds or private clouds, but they're positioned the same way. They're positioned based off the bandwidth requirements that you need through that public cloud or private cloud. And then we have the campus or the concentrator MXs. These are going to be your big beefy MXs like the MX250 and the MX450 that can handle all the way from 4 gig of throughput to 6 gig of throughput. And that's what, whenever I mention these numbers, that's with all the firewall services turned on. So there's no caveats to the bandwidth. And then last but not least is really where your high availability comes into play. Your load balancing is with your cellular MXs. So we have 2 cellular Meraki MXs. This is all based off cellular 5G connectivity. So if your internet connection goes down, it has high availability based off your cellular connection. So we have 2 products in this family: the MG21 and the MG41, both coming with internal or external antennas. So you have a lot of choices, but Meraki really simplifies the positioning for you and really makes it simple. Just basically by asking a couple questions, you can find the right MX for your customer. So that's a really high level overview, Aaron. Anything you want to add or any questions there?
Yeah, a couple little bits. First and foremost, you mentioned the cellular, and one of the amazing things with that is just how quick it does fail over. We used to use those in our setups at our trade shows, and network went down immediately. It was over on cellular, and there was hardly a blip in anything. If you were presenting whatever else, that feed remained live. And really quick compared to some of the other products I've messed around with. And Mark, I think the other thing we maybe want to talk about is multiple site setup with MX devices. So maybe you have a head office and 5 sublocations. How's the VPN setup? Is that quick, easy? Is it daunting like the 90s? Our nightmares then? What's that look like?
That's such a good point. Yeah, such a good question, Aaron. It's very much simplified, right, with Meraki. As long as you have the enterprise license, there is a feature called Auto VPN on the Meraki dashboard. And essentially, all you do is plug in your IP address of your remote site, put your policies in there, very simplified in a fashion, and you can have a site-to-site VPN, or even a client VPN up and running in a matter of about 5 minutes at the most. Very simplified, 2 or 3 clicks to get it going, and not additional costs outside of the enterprise license. So just like the Meraki theme, we're keeping everything simplified, even VPN nowadays, Aaron.
Yeah, definitely. And Colleen, this is one of your favorite things tied into that. We can use any connect or secure client with these MX devices now, can't we?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The AnyConnect actually has gone through a name change. It is now Secure Client. So don't get confused if you see that. But yeah, any Secure Client is definitely transitional with the Meraki MXs as well. All of the packages that were familiarized with on the ASA and the FPR line, you can utilize on the MX side.
All right. Now, Mark brought up a detail with the licensing as well, mentioning the enterprise license. That's kind of that base level to get the MX up and running. But we have 3 license types. Colleen, do you want to take this one? What are the differences there? What do we have?
Well, for the MXs, you definitely have the enterprise license, you have the advanced security license, and then you can add, if you're looking for a little bit more robust and include, to try and add SD-WAN into your environment as well, you have the SD-WAN license. that gives you those capabilities.
Yeah, so each one of those is unlocking new features, and specifically advanced. That's where we get some of those more detailed threat services, right? It's watching for anti-malware at that point. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. You're getting your content filtering, you're getting your IPS, you're also getting some of your intrusion malware. You can do YouTube for schools, which is why Meraki is such a great placement for um, um, school environments. You can lock off any of those sites that you don't want the students visiting. You have your, as I mentioned, your content filtering, your AMP you can turn on from there if you're looking for something a little bit more robust, because with AMP you're getting some of the features of AMP in terms of the content filtering and the some of the malware protection. But if you're looking to be able to do a bit more granular deep diving, you want to get the actual secure endpoint license to add on to that or layer into that in order to get a little bit more robust features, or more robust features, I should say.
Okay, yeah, you can take a simplified approach for it, or really move into a more granular space that starts to approach that FPR traditional side of things.
Yeah,
Before we
absolutely.
move on to FPR, any other additions I'm missing here with Meraki that we want to point out?
I think you nailed it here.
Okay, sounds good. So without further ado, we're going to dig into the FPR, NGFW, ASA models. You might have heard on, any sort of terminology like that, referring to the Cisco traditional firewall. Sometimes they get forgotten. Meraki's bright and shiny and flashy, but there's a lot going on the traditional side of things, and we don't want to ignore that. Now, Colleen, on the FPR side, what are our model options here?
Well, we have, what are you looking for? We have
Everything.
everything. Um, we have everything. We have small, medium, large. We cater to, the FPRs can cater to all types of business, and um, leverage those enterprise up to those enterprise opportunities as well. So you want to start off with your if you're looking in the small business and the SMB space, you're looking at your FPR 1010 or your 1120 or even the 1140, depending on what your throughput requirement is, as I mentioned before. Then if you have a 10 gig requirement, then that's where the FPR 1150s would come into play. That allows you to still stay cost effective in the SMB market without having to venture into maybe 2100 or even a 3100. um Cisco hasn't mentioned anything in terms of end of life or discontinuing it, but we kind of see the writing on the wall in terms of the 2100s. So they are looking to put other things in its place, so that should be forthcoming down the road, maybe a new appliance coming down the road. But we did have the 3100s, which you can definitely squeeze into some of your higher level SMB spaces, maybe your 200 or 300 space level um, requirements. And if any of your throughput requirements are above 6 gigs, you can jump into maybe the 3100 line, which can give you those upper level throughput requirements. You can go from a 6 gig to maybe a 40 gig requirement if that's what you need. Yeah, and then you have the 4100s, the 4200s are coming into the market as well. So there is definitely um, a lot of opportunity and a lot of product sets that you can look to the Cisco FPRs for.
Yeah, and there's really a wide variety, everything from the 1010, which is just under a gigabit throughput rated, up to the higher end where we're looking at 140 gig
Yes.
throughput. That's pretty incredible for enterprise situation. And that
Yeah,
is, I would say, one situation where we want to look at this instead of Meraki. Meraki has its place in the small media business, but when you're really scaling to enterprise, that's one of the key factors where you might want to move to the traditional side of things. Now, there's
absolutely.
also ASA and FPR, that sort of terminology. I remember ASA being around for a while. What are our differences there?
Yeah, don't hurt us. We're not as simplified as Meraki yet, but yeah. So prior to the ASAs going end of life, we all became familiar with firepower. When firepower got released, um, Cisco felt like actually when they acquired SourceFire, Cisco wanted to find an economical way to get you that SourceFire IPS and all of that goodness into the current model ASAs. And what they did was they introduced the firepower services. They added that onto the models and called it firepower ready model. So what you had two images on those boxes. You had the FPR, the new FTD image, and then you had the older ASA image. Some people love ASA and they still love ASAs for ASDM specifically. That CLI functionality. Some people are CLI focused. So Cisco wanted to kind of uh, remain true to those partners that still wanted CLI. In the long run, we've found that it didn't work too well after a while because of the overhead that requirements that most partners may have had. You know, businesses changed, there was a lot of overhead. So Cisco moved forward and decided they would split those codes into two separate images. So for partners who love CLI and wanted to remain on the ASA image side to utilize ASDM for the on-box management, they created the ASA version of the FPRs. For those that wanted to, you know, the new thing on the market, new thing on the block, they created the FDM on-box manager. It's new. It's kind of Meraki-esque. So for those partners who wanted to shift and get something a little bit more user friendly and focus, you know, touch point focus, that's why Cisco kind of came out with the FDM. It's very intuitive. You have all your features. A lot of the features that were on the ASA side have now been moved over into FDM, so you can set up any of your policies. You can manage your boxes, set up your VPN services, just the same as you would before, but in a web GUI interface environment. So I think Cisco tried to, you know, please both realms and it blended out pretty well. It definitely we definitely try to push partners to trying out FDM because that way you are able to add a lot of the next gen services on the ASA, on the FDM side of things, which in actuality is your NGFW model. On the ASA side, those boxes running the ASA code, you're kind of limited in what you can add to that box. It's still a great box for partners that are not looking for, and I'm not advocating, I feel like everyone should be getting threat services, but for anyone who is not looking to rush into getting those threat services and, you know, paying that additional cost right now, having that ASA code model is still a great option, but you are limited to what functionality in terms of protection you can get.
Yeah, that can still be, a great setup for multi-site, somebody that's used to that CLI, as you mentioned. So very specific use cases for it. But we definitely want to talk about those threat services that you can add on. They are innately in the box. But on the FPR side of things, what are those threat services that we can add? I believe you can do them a la carte or as an all-in-one bundle. Um, Mark, walk us
Yeah.
through maybe a few of those.
Yeah, Absolutely, no problem at all. So you're absolutely right, Aaron. On the FPR bundles, there are a couple different license types depending on your business needs. So from a subscription perspective, license perspective, there's a couple different licenses for firepower. So starting off with IPS, intrusion prevention services, if that's an outcome that your customers are looking for, you can buy IPS based on a subscription. Next is malware defense. We all know how important malware is protecting from malware threats these days. So if malware defense is a need, that is also a subscription. And then we have URL filtering, very simple, right? Whitelist and blacklist of URLs and based off content. So those are going to be your three main subscription licenses. And then also we have your light subscription and standard subscription. So if you have a very customer pricing sensitive customer, then you might want to play with the different base light and standard licenses. Will probably give you a different cost depending on what your customers need, but not all the features that what can come with the firewall. So just take a real high level outlook of what licenses give you what feature, and then knowing that you can buy that on a subscription base will give your customers a lot more flexibility.
Okay, yeah,
And
perfect. And then we'll see
I
some
did
1,
want
3,
to,
5 year options there. Oh yeah, please, Colleen.
yeah, I did want to add something too onto what Mark just mentioned. While you're choosing those licenses, please make sure that they are device specific. So you do have to make sure that you're purchasing the right license for the correct model firewall that you have.
Yeah, definitely there. And the light and standard licenses that Mark mentioned, those are small business bundles specifically. Colleen, do they reach out to you about that? How do they get more information if they want to look at those options?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out at Cisco support at dnh.com. I'm on that alias as well. So we'll definitely be able to help you to make sure that you're choosing um, the right bundle that is needed. And those bundles do come with licenses such as the CDO license if you're looking for that type of management. We'll kind of discuss that later, but it does come with CDO, Cisco Defense Orchestrator. It does come with the SAL, which is the uh, analytics and logging feature within that you can add to CDO, and then also the 3-year threat TMC bundle.
Nice. Yeah, and that TMC is the one that includes the anti-malware, IPS, and web filtering all in one
Correct.
bundle there. Yeah. And the other important part here, of course, of the firewalls is VPN, secure client. I mean, we talked about it with Meraki. Does that work here on the traditional side too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think secure client and they're like peanut butter and jelly. They go
Absolutely.
together. Definitely on the FPR side, I think I believe Cisco should be updating some of their material soon because I have gotten customer messages stating that, you're wrong. It doesn't work with the FPRs. It just says ASA on the documentation. It does work with the FPR. It absolutely does. So rest assured that if you do purchase a secure uh, license package, even if it's the plus package, actually those packages have gone through a name change as well. So under the secure client offerings, you had plus package, which is now advantage, and then you have the apex, which is now considered premium. So any of those packages, and then good old faithful, the VPN only offering. Um, One of the questions that I get a lot is because Cisco did change the structure of how those licenses can be utilized. So a few years ago, those services went from a device-driven service onto to a user-based service. So when you're purchasing the license under the plus or even the, I'm sorry, plus, I'm going back, if you're purchasing the license under the Advantage or even the Premium package, you are purchasing a per user subscription. If you're doing the VPN only, you are looking at concurrent sessions, similar to what they had in the older generation AnyConnect services. Cisco saw a need to keep that service in play, so that is why the VPN only didn't get switched over. So VPN only is still available, but there are some caveats that you have to remember. That VPN only, you cannot share the licenses between devices. When you purchase that, it is a perpetual license, yes, but you're paying for that license up for the right to use those licenses up front. And then subsequently afterwards, it does have an attached support service that you need to renew at the end of every term, whether it be 1, 3, or 5 year term. So that support service on the VPN only needs to be renewed. But as I mentioned, you cannot share those licenses between devices. So for example, if you have 3 locations and you have 3 appliances within that organization, you are able to share, whether it is an MX or an FPR device. You're able to share uh, the minimum for our secure client purchase for secure client is 25 licenses. So if you want to do 5 on one box, 5 at another location, and then the remaining at the third location, then you can do that if you have either the Advantage or the premium license. With the VPN only, you cannot do that. It's on that box entirely. So definitely look out for that. But yeah, absolutely, you're able to use it, and I think Cisco allowed it to be that way because they wanted customers to have that cost effective route in doing VPN and making sure. And Meraki is under the umbrella now, so definitely a good look.
Yeah, definitely. We're starting to see the two sides really come together and have a lot of interoperability between the two halves of the picture. And kind of related to this, someone just put in a very good question. The duration of the licenses available, I think is it 1, 3, and 5 year, or does it go beyond that? What do we have there for the subscription side?
For the
Let's
secure
answer
client.
let's answer that and the firepower since we're here.
Well, they're all 1, 3, and 5 year terms. On the threat services side. Now the Meraki side is a little bit different because Meraki, you do have that 7 year option as well.
All right, sounds good. So our next subject here, I mean, we have the firewalls, and we don't necessarily want to manage each of them individually. So we have to have a management option that brings them all into one single pane of glass, which we all, love to say and love to use. But what are our options in managing these traditional firewalls?
Yeah. You want me to take that one, Colleen?
Yeah, sure. I'll just add.
As you can see, all from the audience perspective, Colleen is amazing when it comes to Cisco security. She honestly knows Cisco security more than a lot of Cisco folks. But with that being said, it's a really great question, Aaron. When it comes to management options, you basically have 3 different management options. Like Colleen said, you have FMC, Firewall Management Center. That's going to be on-prem, and you can manage multiple devices on that, right? Your next one is FDM, right? That's going to be a local manager and per box management, right? Similar to like a Cisco switch or old school Cisco router where we have to kind of console into a CLI. Think of that when you're thinking of FDM. Now, if you're managing multiple different devices, Meraki and Firepower, maybe different clouds, multi-platform, that's where the cloud delivered FMC and or CDO, Cisco Defense Orchestrator, is going to come into place, right? This is the big daddy of the management platforms when it comes to firewall. So multiple devices, cloud delivered, different platforms. You can do you can do your next gen firewall. You can do your ASA if you just need stateful local firewall policies, and even Meraki and some AWS stuff. So if you're looking for that flexibility where multiple deployment scenarios and multiple different devices, cloud delivered FMC or CDO will be your best bet. Definitely highly recommend taking a look at those two platforms. How was that, Aaron?
That was very good. Colleen, I'm sure you have more to say as well. I mean, looking at FMC and CDO, they're both kind of cloud delivered products. What's going to be the major difference if we want to choose between those two?
Well, yeah, as Mark mentioned, FMC and CDO are going to be your I don't know, cars, maybe your Rolls Royce of the out of the three, because FDM is on box, is kind of limited in a sense. And if you want CDO, CDO can now manage FMC within a cloud environment. With FMC, you do have the on-prem offerings, which is the hardware appliances. Though most environments, they kind of go with the virtual offerings instead, which you have your 2, 10, 25, and 300 node support for. So if you're purchasing the licenses, the only thing that I can tell you is make sure that you're again sizing that properly. So if you're if you only have two, or maybe you come out with a single firewall initially and you want to add a secondary, then the 2 device license is fine for FMC. If you have a feeling that you're going to scale within the next 6 to 12 months, in terms of the firewalls, I would recommend going up to the 10 device license to just cover yourself, because most partners will come in thinking that, oh, okay, well, if I have, 2 firewalls already and I add a third, then I can get another 2 device license and that should cover it. And while that may seem a bit cost effective, it's not going to do you any good in the long run, because those licenses, they each create their own instances in terms of the dashboard. So when you get a 2 device license, you have a dashboard for that it creates, and then you have a dashboard for the one that you currently have. So you don't want that. That defeats the purpose of having a centralized management. So that would also be the only thing, one of the things that I would change. I keep barking at Cisco to kind of change that, where and I guess that's why they came out. I can take credit for them coming out with CDO, because with CDO, it does offer that balance where partners can do individual add-on licenses. As long as you have that tenant, that CDO tenant, you can buy the individual license as you add and scale. With FMC, we need them to kind of change that.
Yeah, and we bothered Mark and bothered him and bothered him again, and he finally kicked out CDO for us. So I do thank you for your programming efforts
He went
there,
into the lab.
But Colleen's absolutely right. She gets all the credit for CDO. So if you're using CDO, please thank Colleen.
He went into the lab. But yeah, I think they're all great products, and they fit into whatever space or whatever you're doing right now. And that's one of the good things about Cisco, is where, yeah, we don't necessarily come out being the cheapest in some instances, but I think partners know that it is quality, and we are giving off the numbers that we say. I've seen enough times where partners will just send over a request for this outrageous vendor box that they're looking for, and it's supposed to be, SMB and it gives off 40, 80 gigs, for $1,000, which, yeah. But
It's a little suspect.
I we definitely have seen the numbers behind the Cisco products and do know that, yeah, while you may look at, if you're looking for apples to apples, it's never going to be that with any vendor, in terms of feature sets. Just know what you're looking for within that environment, and know that the numbers that Cisco is advertising and pushing out, that is what you're getting. So you're not going to be blindsided in the end, putting a box that says one thing but does another when it's in the real world environment.
Definitely, definitely. And so with these three options, I mean, what's free and included? What do we want to add on when we're planning out a project like this? What do we need to purchase?
You're on a roll,
In
Colleen.
terms in terms of just the management piece,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah, for the
are we?
management licensing. Yeah. Do we need to buy any of this?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's not free. Um, yeah, CDO and FMC is a cost. Now, I do know that Cisco offers, um, I believe it's still in play, where you offer demos of those demo licenses, isn't it now, Mark? Yeah. So if
That
you want to try out the product, CDO or FMC, before purchasing and before venturing, Cisco definitely has those offerings. And once you decide, okay, well, I'm going to stick with it, you can reach out to us. CDO and FMC are license based. So outside of the physical FMC offering, where everything is included in that box, but you are paying a pretty penny if you're looking for it, but it is a great box. Um, it doesn't require any licenses because everything is already included. But the virtual offering, of CDO and FMC, you do buy license in 1, 3. We can do 1, 3, and 5-year terms with that. And
Okay. Yeah,
with
so a lot of
CD,
options based on project.
yeah, and also again, because Cisco loves to be specific with things, CDO, you do have to make sure that the license that you're purchasing with CDO is device specific.
Yep,
So
definitely,
count how many
definitely.
times I've said that.
call
Let me know.
And Mark, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I had, he doesn't know this is coming, so I apologize ahead of time. You know where to find me. But I know you love this group that I'm gonna ask about as much as I do, and that's Cisco Talos. So behind all of this threat protection and everything else, there's a magic group within Cisco that kind of, they bridge the divide between Meraki, Cisco, anything that needs threat protection. Mark, tell us what is Talos? What do they do? How does it change the structure of the way Cisco, or the structure of Cisco's offer here?
No, it's a good point, and no worries, Aaron. There's a woodshed here. We can see each other in a minute after this call here. No, I'm seriously just kidding. But it's a good question. It really is what makes our security platform so magical, right? All of our security products connect to what Aaron just mentioned, a database called Talos. Talos is it's an organization made up of around 200 to 300 CCIEs. And quite simply, all they do every day, 24/7, 24 hours a day, is look for threats on the internet, anywhere from 0 days to advanced malware. And from that research, from that intelligence, we are able to push out either updates or patches to our security appliances in a very quick and fast, seamless way. And at the end of the day, Talos is why we're almost at 100% efficacy when finding malware. They are really an amazing organization. They're so amazing that I'm not going to say other vendors names out there, but other vendors that are our competitors use Talos to gather their threat intelligence. So it is a very popular organization within Cisco. and highly respected because of all the brain power that just sits there all day looking at threats to help us and secure our customers' networks. It really is a special, and it's 100% free, right? It's just included in our security products. So Talos is why we're so magical in security.
Absolutely, and they're fantastic people to talk to too. One of my favorite stories, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We had someone out from Talos that spoke at one of our trade shows a few years ago. And then he hung out with us at the booth. So we were talking to customers, and then finally it was time for him to leave. He looked at his watch and he says, well, it's time for me to go infect a bank of computers. And he took off and did exactly that. So he lives the life. He's infecting computers, figuring out how something works, and they're working on fixing it so that you don't have to as the client. So really just amazing group.
And there,
okay, so go ahead, please.
Just to add on to that, there is a Talos website that you partners can go to and find out all the latest and greatest threats that have been found, what's happening with any bugs or any solutions that Cisco pushes out. You can find that on the Talos website. We can provide a link somewhere or after the session.
Yeah, we sure can. Sure can. And for you as resale partners, especially if you're on the sales side of things, that can be a really great message with your clients. It is just an incredibly strong message when you start to dig in and see what they're doing and how it works with the Cisco product.
Yeah, especially for lean IT that don't have that manpower behind them. Just knowing that you have an organization like Talos, using behind every Cisco product that you purchase, whether it's Meraki or the FPRs, is amazing. They're basically doing the work for you without asking you for money.
Yes, indeed. All right, so I've completely derailed things. So we're going to get back on track here, but we do want to cover some ongoing promos right now that are tied to the firewalls. Pauline, what do we have on the firewall side?
Well, we do have an ongoing program, a Secure the Firewall promo, that is going on through the end of July, I believe, end of Cisco's fiscal, where you can it is for the entry level. It is for the FPR 1010s. If a partner purchases the FPR 1010s, the NGFW offering, not the ASA, and add on the TMC, which is the full threat subscription that includes AMP, IPSN, URL, and also with SmartNet, and all of that for 3 years, there is a deep discount on that deal.
Yeah, and if you do want to take advantage of that, be sure to reach out to the sales side of our organizations. We're engineers; they don't let us mess with pricing or calculators for good reasons. But that side of things, they can put in a quick quote for you or a deal if it applies, and that discounting will tack on automatically as long as all three of those components are there.
And just can I just add a little caveat I forgot to add? I don't want the partners that purchased ASAs to get the ASA code models to get jealous that they're not able to utilize the threat services. If down the road you do decide that, hey, I want threat services, you can re-image the current appliance that you have and add on the FTD image in order to utilize those licenses. So you don't really necessarily have to get a new box, which is NGFW. You don't have to get that if so it's more cost effective that way. A little bit of time consuming, but it's cost effective. I've had partners do that where they initially didn't want the NGFW or FTD code, and then eventually went to it afterwards by re-imaging the boxes.
Yeah, that's a good transition option for folks that are deep into the ASA world. There's a way to move forward with that. And actually, another promo that it just crossed my mind is that the base level Meraki MX devices, like the FPR 1010, has a promo going right now as well. So again, you get the MX device base level, add a 3 or more year license to that, and there's some really good discounting that can happen there as well. Again, that's a quick quote or deal process. Our Cisco specialist at dnh.com team, they can help you with anything along that line and kind of, help you see what your price is going to be for that. Any other bundles we should cover, Colleen or Mark? I think we had some potentials. Or
I think you nailed it, Aaron. I think there was another Meraki promotion out there. If you buy a 3-year license, you get 1 year free, something of that effect. But we can definitely send you that as well.
Indeed, I forgot about that one. That's across the Meraki line. So you're buying a 3 or 5 year license. They're reducing that price up front so that it's like you bought a 2-year license of the same thing. So a little bit of a discount there. Again, through end of fiscal year, you really just want to really move some product and give some incentive to do that with your customers. And that's one of the ways Cisco can make that happen. So with that, we get to move into our other favorite training thing, which is training. And we'll kick off a little bit with Cisco's black belt training and fire jumper and all that. Mark, I know you work with some of that in the background. Tell us a little bit about what's available on black belt, who can use it. What do we do there?
Yeah, awesome point. So black belt is really our somewhat new training and enablement platform for our partners. So if you're familiar with Sales Connect, go to salesconnect.cisco.com, type in black belt in the search, and the first link should be the partner black belt platform. It is training as a whole, but why it's so special is we really break down all of our training per the persona. So if you're a partner today, say you're AM at a partner, we're going to have specific AM firewall training right there in black belt. If you're a pre-sales SE or even a post-sales SE deploying and configuring, we have training on that as well. So it's really persona based. And depending on that persona, there are different stages, right? So it's kind of a growing path. So let's say I'm a new AM, never sold security in my life, don't know how to spell it. Where do I start? You're going to start in the black belt security track stage 1. But let's say you've been selling security for years, you're an expert, still a sales persona, then you might want to start at stage 3, right? A little more advanced topics with a little bit more road mapping as well. So we have content just about for every persona and really at any level you are in your current career, you'll find something that's relevant for you. And there are incentives tied behind black belt. So I'm not sure if everyone on this call has heard of Cisco Learning Rewards. Or learning credits, I should say. But with black belt, the more training and studying you do within black belt, the more learning credits you can actually accumulate. And should everyone know, learning credits you can buy, certifications. You can buy stuff at our Cisco store like Lochowski's. But there's a lot of different ways you can use learning credits. But there are incentives, so definitely go to black belt, look at the training. And definitely dig right in there and see how many incentives you can actually accumulate. But highly recommend sending either your new hires or your old school veterans that know it all. They'll find something that's relevant in black belt for them.
And excellent. You get a gorgeous badge.
You do get a gorgeous badge.
You forgot to talk about the badges.
Yes. Yes. That is I guess the why I do black belts, to get that fancy badge,
the resistance of why you do black belt, because you can show off and have those badges in your signature.
Exactly. Think about it, if I'm taking a karate class, it's the same sense, right? Karate has different colored belts.
Exactly.
I think the white belt for people who suck at karate. We have similar something. But we have advanced badges as well. So, and you can share these on your LinkedIn, or you can use this to accumulate your learning credits. But definitely the badge is why we all do black belt.
All right. I'm still waiting for the physical badge so I can put it on my puffy bowling jacket, but we'll get there eventually.
It's on the way.
Colleen, I know this is something that you use a lot, dCloud. What kind of resource is that for a partner that might want to demonstrate to their partner or clients?
Oh yeah, dCloud is definitely another great asset. If partners want to learn more about the Cisco offerings that are in play, I love dCloud because it simplifies uh, me when I'm showing a partner a product line. What it does, you as long as you have a Cisco username and email, email and password, I should say, sorry. As long as you have those credentials, you can log into dCloud and you have everything laid out, whether you're looking to do security, collab, any of the different portfolios that you're looking to get in tuned with. They have sessions, they have what's called on-demand trainings versus lab trainings versus what you can set up yourself. So the on-demand trainings is to a novice or a newcomer to dCloud, where you want to do a training, you want to show off a product, but you're not very familiar with it. That side of things, they provide you with an outline of training that you can go through. You can go through the steps, kind of demo it for your customer on the other end, or even demo it for your team if that's the case, if that's who you're looking to train. But you can go through the on-demand demo, um, go through the highlight tab, or you can even download the script that dCloud has ready for you in those on-demand trainings. And as I said, it's a step-by-step guide that shows you how to go through each of the, maybe you want to do an umbrella training, um, and you want to get to know umbrella, you can set up users, you can set up content filtering, all that stuff. Maybe RBI is a feature that you'd like to get to know more about and set that up. You can go through dCloud and do that. So there's a wealth of knowledge on dCloud, and you can also share that with the end customer, or I should say another Cisco partner, if that's who you're looking to do the trainings for, so they can take over and actually do it themselves. And then uh, if you're looking to extend the trainings, maybe you didn't have enough time to do the trainings because they are self-paced. But when you're doing the self-paced training, it does give you a limitation of 6 days. So, say for instance, you set something up for 6 days. If you'd like to extend that, the um, individuals behind who runs dCloud is very understanding and they're very nice. They just shoot them an email, let them know, hey, really into this training, didn't have a chance to really complete it. Like I'd like an additional 2 days or three, and they'll grant that for you. So definitely a one worth looking into.
All right. All right. Very good there. And then Colleen, we do a lot of live trainings, our team specifically, our group of sales engineers, we cover collaboration and engineer, straight route switch wireless, and some other stuff. And actually, we do a lot of live Meraki training as well. But on your side, Colleen, what are we offering in the security space right now? If a partner wants to join in on that.
We are building up the security offerings again, because every quarter we try to refresh it. But one of the ongoing ones that we do have is the security, the STC training, which encompasses the selling of umbrella and AMP for endpoints, or secure client. That's gone through a name change as well. So many name changes, Mark. But we do have that training that kind of goes through, takes a partner through how to sell umbrella, how to utilize and demo umbrella through the STC or the partner portal. You show you how to gain your own dashboard or trial console, where um, you can demo or set up demo trials of Umbrella. Any of the packages that are included in Umbrella or even secure client or secure endpoint, you can demo that for set up a demo or trial for your customer. And usually we see after the first 21 days, or I'm sorry, I believe it changed once STC launched. I believe it's 30 days. It's a full 30 days now that partners are able to demo, have their partner and customers demo Umbrella or secure endpoint. And then once those 30 days are up, usually the partner knows after those 30 days because with that, the partner is in tune with the customer, letting them know, giving them an update of what these products have found in their environment and what they should be, putting in place to make sure that they're fully protected. So after those 30 days, the partner usually knows, okay, well, I'd like to change this into an actual subscription. I want to buy this product. And the console makes it very easy where we're able to transition that trial that you've set up into an actual subscription without you having to redo any of your configurations. Everything can continue um, as usual. So that training is taking place next month, I believe on the 20, oh, don't hurt me. I believe the 21st.
I think so.
But we can get that
Okay,
information
good.
out to you, or we can have we can have you, if you log into our driven site, you're able to see all the trainings that we offer on the security side and throughout. As Aaron mentioned, we do Meraki. My colleagues and I do Meraki, collab, anything that you're looking for, we can definitely jump on board. So it's the 21st, I believe, of next month.
Okay, yeah, and Colleen mentioned our Driven site. That's a fantastic portal for you as a Cisco partner. dnh.com/driven. We have on-demand trainings linked out to Cisco. We also have our live trainings that you can register for on that page, and a whole wealth of information, even how to build your own quotes and everything operationally that you might need. So wealth of detail there. Can't recommend the site enough. Interestingly, I just sent out a couple polls. One of them was using threat services. It looks like about 12.5% of the audience is using those right now. So
Yay!
this is a good area where we could even build that up a little bit more. And something like dCloud or the
Absolutely.
Black Belt training will get you more familiar with the services and you'll be able to onboard those in your own practices. Um,
Absolutely.
so with that, we want to wrap up. I think we'll take the few extra minutes here and run through some questions real quick. I definitely want to do that. Just in case anyone drops off right at 3 o'clock, I do want to mention a few things. We have the D&H thread coming up on Tuesday, June 18th in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We encourage you to register on the D&H website. You can talk to representatives from all our vendor lines that are going to be there. You can talk to me, talk to some other folks in the Cisco team here at D&H. So go to dnh.com, click the thread banner, or the learning and training link up in the upper right if you want to register for that. And we'll jump to the questions here real quick. I'm going to send out another poll too. We have one last question here asking about the management side of things, and I'm curious where that one will end as well. This is a great question that just came in. Mark, you might know this. Otherwise, we'll get in touch with you, Sam. But how do you qualify for the Cisco Maverick program? And that's kind of a training program outside of things. Engineer side, we don't deal with it much, so we might have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Aaron. But
Okay.
Our new distribution account manager, Haifa, before she was a DAM, used to run the Maverick program. So she is probably the right point of contact that we need to tag to get some more info, because I unfortunately do not know a lot of details around it.
Okay, no problem. So we'll follow up with you on that one. Another good question here. If a client wants to use FPR for their main site, Meraki for everything else, or some sort of setup like that, can the two systems communicate?
100%, absolutely, yes. Yeah, they've even simplified it on one of the newer releases on FPR, where now there is it's kind of Meraki-fied, where there is a drop down in the FMC management center saying, hey, do you have a Meraki box? Choose your Meraki. What kind of VPN is it? Put in your shared secret, and it automatically connects. So it's very simplified on the FPR side, and there's no additional cost or no additional cost to this outside of your typical.
All right. Ooh, nice. The management offerings, FMC, is a nice 37.5% people using that. That's great to see that number growing. I like that.
Nice.
Well,
I know there's an AI question in here, Aaron. Do you mind if I tag that one in real quick? Because
no, let's do that. Absolutely, it's all rage.
A lot of exciting stuff happening in this area. Before I even start, if you want to learn more about it, we have our big Cisco conference coming up in 2 weeks. I want to say June. Don't hurt me. June 6th. I want to say.
Let's go.
Anyways, there you go.
This Sunday.
This Sunday. It's probably too late to sign up if you want to be there physically, but I highly recommend to sign up virtually. With the acquisition of Splunk, with some of these new AI features coming out, you're going to see some very, very exciting things. But let's talk AI real quick. So AI is a kind of a new feature within our FMC, or Firepower Management Center, and CDO, where it's kind of a chat bot feature, right? It's really simplifying firewall policy through management. And let me just give you a couple examples of the questions you can ask, right? Let's say I want to say, have I enabled malware analysis on my access control policy? And the bot, AI bot, said, yes, you currently have 120 rules out of 700 enabled. That is an example of how we're simplifying a lot of these very complex policy mandates through AI, where it's speeding to market. You can actually deploy policies all through a really cool AI bot. So stay tuned. Join Cisco Live. There'll be a lot of new information on that and other things that you want to listen to. Very exciting time.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I can't wait to see what comes out next week. It's always an exciting week when Cisco Live's going on.
Absolutely.
Last question, we'll wrap up here. Is this going to be recorded? And yes, it absolutely is. We've recorded this whole time. It's going to be available on dnh.com/solutionslab. It usually takes a few days, but it'll be up. Pass it around to your friends, buddies, colleagues, and they can all join in and watch as well if they're interested. So we want to wrap there. I want to thank everybody so much for joining us. Colleen and Mark, it is always a pleasure talking to you and working through one of these fun events. Thank you for joining me.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
All right. And thank you to everybody behind the scenes at D&H that helps make this happen and kind of produces in the background. There's some little magic wizardry that goes on to pull these off. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We're going to close out. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you soon.